So yesterday we talked about the Oklahoma Sooners spring game, and I spent some time talking about some of the things I'm going to be looking for during that spring game. And there was a lot for us to discuss, but today we need to talk about all of the elite visitors Oklahoma is set to host this weekend and why this is such a big weekend for the Oklahoma Sooners. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited to see all the festivities of Oklahoma's spring game this weekend? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. We're on our push to 15,000 subscribers, and I'd love to have you a part of this awesome community. And if you enjoyed the content, like and comment down below, as those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But having said all of that, let's hop right into this because there are several different names we can talk about. I've picked out some names that I'm going to be watching closely, not only in terms of their personal talent, but what they offer the Oklahoma Sooners. And if we're looking at that name list right there, I think we can start with Derrick Leblanc, someone who Oklahoma has wanted for quite some time and someone who Oklahoma is in contention for. Anytime you're able to say, hey, the guy who's going to be coaching you at the next level, at the collegiate level, is none other than Todd Bates, you have to like your chances with anybody on the defensive front, especially when you've been able to flip on the tape and show them what he put together at Clemson. I mean, the guy put together elite defensive line after elite defensive line after elite defensive line. And the other selling point you have is you can tell this recruit, yeah, by the way, Todd Bates, the defensive line coach, he's here, but the guy who orchestrated the defenses as a whole, Brent Venables, that's the head coach. So the defensive side for Oklahoma recruiting is one that I'm interested in, especially with the coaches on staff. I don't expect at all for there to be some massive fallout offensively on recruiting. In fact, everything we've seen says the contrary, that they're going to continue recruiting the offensive side of the football at an elite level, and we can see that through the commitments they've already got, such as a Jackson Arnold, who I talked about not long ago being on the precipice of 5-star rating. Remember, this is a very talented individual in Jackson Arnold, one that plays in a really, really competitive high school league right here in Denton, Texas. And on top of that, if he has a good senior season and if he performs well at camps, which by all metrics he's got the ability to do so, he's so close to 5-star range, I don't think anybody in the nation would be surprised in the least if he was able to make that jump up to 5-star status. Very talented quarterback, future very bright. But I give you that whole little soliloquy to kind of highlight that I'm not worried about the offensive side of the ball recruiting-wise for the Oklahoma Sooners. More so that I'm incredibly interested in what they're going to be able to do defensively because of the new names on staff, and a Derrick Leblanc is a name we're going to have to watch. But if you're talking about importance, if you're talking about names we have got to watch, my goodness gracious, is there a bigger name right now for the Oklahoma Sooners than Bai Jobe? Bai Jobe, having moved to Oklahoma, is someone that the Sooners faithful would love to keep in the area, and why not? Jobe has got supreme athletic ability. Not long ago, I was at the Pylon 7-on-7 right down the street in Dallas, and I got to see some of the nation's top playmakers in action, and my goodness gracious, we are in good hands in terms of these recruits coming up. Incredibly gifted athletes. But Bai Jobe stood out. And not only did he stand out on the offensive side of the ball, you know he's going to stand out on the defensive side of the ball, because on these 7-on-7 environments, he's not getting to rush like he would in an actual football game. But what you did see was supreme athleticism from somebody that has got a massive frame, and a frame that you can pack more weight on, and I don't know that it's going to make a difference athletically. That's what's so intriguing about Bai Jobe. He's just now starting to get acclimated to the game of football, so his ceiling is ridiculously high. And in a lot of ways, it's very analogous to Hero Canoe from a year ago, an individual who is so naturally gifted at the game of football, they just haven't been playing it as long as anybody else. And so those guys, when you're that gifted naturally, those are names you need to watch, because Bai Jobe is obviously getting it. He gets the fundamentals, and he's been getting better and better and better, and that's not going to stop once he gets to college. In fact, I think we could see a rapid increase in terms of his production, in terms of his development, once he gets to that stage. But then if we're flipping to the offensive side of the ball, there's Caden Green. And Caden Green is going to be a prospect that's of massive importance to multiple different institutions, but if you are Oklahoma, you want to continue recruiting the offensive line at a high level. I always talk about this. You can really never have too many offensive linemen, because the nature of college football typically dictates that an offensive lineman is going to come in, sit for about a year, learn the system, learn technique, and get their body right for the next level. Because as I consistently say in our live streams, and as I consistently say in these videos, at the high school level, there is no baseline athleticism. These 5-star offensive linemen could have me rushing from the edge, and that's not a baseline of athleticism. What I mean when I say that is when you get to college, everybody there is athletic. When you get to college, everybody there was one of the best players in their town. That's not the case in high school football. And so for these offensive linemen, now all of a sudden they're going from blocking somebody who might be 5'11", 180 pounds, to someone who's 6'5", 250 pounds, and can bull rush with the best of them. There's a massive jump from what you're experiencing as an offensive lineman from the high school game to the collegiate level, and that's even for the guys that go to these premier high school institutions. It's never surprising when they don't come in and play year one. I say all of that to say you can never have too many talented offensive linemen. It's a position of necessary depth because it's a trench warfare position. Injuries are bound to happen. Get that depth, develop them, and allow them to be able to help your team. Another reason I say it's so important is because everything starts from there. And whenever you have Bill Bedenbaugh, that's someone who you want to get as many of these talented individuals, such as a Caden Green, in as possible so that he can develop them. And we've talked at length about Todd Bates' development. We can have a similar conversation about Bill Bedenbaugh. I mean, look at the guys he's sent to the NFL. They've had successful careers thereafter, and that's a heavy recruiting chip, a very, very powerful one as well. But we need to talk about one more name in particular before we talk about the weekend as a whole, and that's a prospect out the class of 2024. One of the most coveted prospects in all of the nation, 5-star Colin Simmons out of Duncanville, Texas. And this is a name to watch moving forward. 2024 is a long ways away. Obviously, this staff and staffs out there, they would love to get a commitment from a Colin Simmons to go ahead and start their 2024 cycle, but everybody's focused on 2023 right now. That doesn't mean you disregard the future. That means you look at what's in front of you, and that's what's most important right now. But it's awesome that they're even getting him in, and especially awesome that they're getting him in this weekend. And every argument, every bit of logic I've put forth about Todd Bates, about Miguel Chavez, we can carry that over to Colin Simmons to save time, because now I need to get into something that's not football. It revolves all the festivities Oklahoma is having at their spring game this weekend, including unveiling a statue for Baker Mayfield. And look, these spring games are already great environments for you to schedule visits to. Whenever you have a recruit that you're very interested in joining your class, getting them to your spring game is a big deal. But whenever you have this amount of festivities, emotions are going to be on high. We always have to realize that these spring games are big events for you to get visitors in at, but whenever you have all these other things, it's just these extra wrinkles that can help create an environment that's more conducive to being able to secure a commitment. But I'm very interested in hearing from all of you. Hop down to the comments. I asked you yesterday what you're looking for in terms of the spring game performance. If you haven't seen that video, please go do so. If you have, and you want to talk more about it, drop down in the comments what you're really interested in for that spring game. We can have that conversation. That's it. See ya.